Okay, 3.7, factoring a sum or difference of cubes. Okay, so this is similar to when we did when you do difference of squares. So you had two brackets, you square root the first term and square root the second term, and then you put that in both brackets, then you put a plus and a minus, right? So factoring a sum of or difference of cubes, it follows kind of the same idea, where it has a set, you can factor it based on a formula. Okay, so the only thing different, not the only thing different, when you guys did squares, you can only do difference of squares. Okay, you can never do the sum of squares. But for cubes, you could have the sum or the difference. So you could have a positive or a negative. Okay, so what a difference of cubes or a sum of cubes looks like is just x power 3 minus 27. So we have two numbers or two terms that are to the third degree. So we could usually cube root each of them. If we could cube root it, both terms, then we could do the difference or sum of cubes. Okay, so the formula is here. So a cubed plus b cubed equals a plus b, and then brackets a squared minus ab plus b squared. Okay, then the opposite operations when you get to when it's subtract here, so subtract, and then this becomes a positive. Okay, and I'll show you with some examples. By the way, once you get to this step here, you'll notice that there is a kind of a quadratic. This can never be factored fully. So once you get to this step here, this is as far as you can go, with the exception of a couple. And I'll show you those with examples. Okay, so we're doing the, sorry, I put too far down. Okay, so first one it says to factor. So we have an x cubed minus 27. So what you're gonna do is cube root each of them. Cube root each term. So when you cube root x to the power 3, you get x. When you cube root 27, you get 3. Okay, so we're doing, would be a difference of cubes, so we're looking at this formula here. So it's going to be a minus b. So that's in when you cube root it. So we have an x minus 3. That's the first bracket. Okay, the second bracket now is we take a and we square it. So our a is x, so we're going to square it. So we get x squared plus a times b, which is x times 3, which is 3x, plus b squared. B squared, so 3 squared is 9. And you leave it as it is. You cannot go any further. So the factor of x cubed minus 27 is this here. Okay, next one. 27x cubed plus 64. And so cube root it, cube root each term. Cube root each one. So when you cube root 27, you get 3. And when you cube root x cubed, you get x. So our first term is 3x. That's our a value. You guys see that okay? Kind of. Let's move that glare out if we can. No. So it's 3x there. Well, it's tough to see, but I'm telling you. Since it's a positive, so it's a sum of cubes, we're going to have plus here. So base here, so we have the sum of cubes. The square root, the cube root of 64. The cube root of 64 is 4. So we have 3x plus 4. Now, this term here is a squared. So a squared, so we take the 3x and we square it. So 3 squared is 9. X squared is x squared. So if we take this and square it, we get 9x squared. Subtract, so subtract a times b, so 3x times 4, which is 12x, plus b squared, so 4 squared is 16. Okay, and you stop there. Erase this one. Move the screen up. Okay, next one. So 2 terms, and we have a subtraction in between. So we're going to look to see if it's a difference of cubes. But when you do this, sorry, we have 7x to the power 4. So one thing I forgot to mention in the first 2 questions is your first step to factoring anytime you're factoring, the very, very, very first step should always be something. And that is to factor out your greatest common factor. So always look for your GCF, the greatest common factor. If you don't, often you just forget about it, or you're able to factor on the very last step. Okay, so, but you always try to do it first. So if I'm looking at this equation, I have a power of 4 here, so I don't know any factoring with the power of 4 other than greatest common factor. So let's see what is common between the 2 of them. Well, the other indication, but I think, so something else to look at, we can't cube root 7. So chances are it's not going to be the 7. So we have to factor out the 7. So we're going to factor out a 7, and if you notice, they both have x's, so we're going to factor out an x as well. So we're going to factor out a 7x. Okay, so if I take out a 7x from the first term, I get x cubed. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. You don't need to write the 1. And if I take out an x from x4, I'm left with x cubed. Subtract 448 divided by 7. I don't even know what that is. 448 divided by 7 gives you 64. So 64. And if I factor out an x, I don't have any x's left. Okay, so now what we have is the difference of cubes here. Okay, so because we have a term and a term that both could be cube rooted, and we have a subtraction in the middle. So if I cube root x to the power of 3, I get x. If I cube root 64, I get 4. Okay, subtraction, subtraction. Now, this is a squared, so x squared is x squared, plus a times b, so x times 4 is 4x, plus b squared, so 4 squared is 16. And then stop there. Okay, and last one now, which is the trickiest one. So our a in this case is x plus 5, and our b is x plus 4. So if we were to cube root this, both of them, the cube would cross off with the cube root on both of them. So what you get as your a value is x plus 5. And then we have, so this is, see how it's a cube and a cube, so we have a sum of cubes since we have the plus. So we're going to have x plus 5 is our a value plus our b value. So when you cube root this, the cube cancels out with the cube root, so we're left with x plus 4. Okay, this one's going to take a few steps. So our a value is x plus 5, and our b value is x plus 4. Okay, now I'm getting to the second part of the bracket. So it's going to be a squared comes first. So we're taking their a value, x plus 5, and squaring it. So we get x plus 5 squared. Then, next one is to subtract a times b. So x plus 5 times x plus 4. X plus 5 times x plus 4. Plus b squared, so x plus 4 squared. Okay, we do not leave it like that. Since we have brackets within brackets, we're going to have to expand and simplify. So we have to simplify this further. Okay, both here and here. Okay, so for the first bracket, x plus 5 plus x plus 4. So since it's just addition, we can take away the brackets if you like to. So x plus x is 2x. 5 plus 4 is 9. So our first bracket is 2x plus 9. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit tedious. So x plus 5 squared, please do not do this. I still get grade 10s do this, and I still get grade 12s to do this. They do x squared, and then 5 squared is 25. So they end up writing x squared plus 25. That is not correct. Okay, you just squared the terms, you didn't square the brackets. So what x plus 5 to the power of 2 is x plus 5 times x plus 5. So it means it's the same bracket multiplied by itself. Okay, so it's x plus 5 times x plus 5. Likewise, the x plus 4 squared is x plus 4 times x plus 4. Okay, I'm going to expand here and then also simplify in the same step. So x times x is x squared. So we're foiling. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. Okay, but I'm not going to write the 5x yet. So x times 5 is 5x. Then I have 5. Then I go to my next term. 5 times x is also 5x. So I have 5x plus 5x is 10x. And then 5 times 5 is 25. This is going to go off the side here. Subtract. Be careful here. Subtract all of this. So x times x, x squared. Again, FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Plus 5 times x. So 4x and 5x is 9x. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay? I'm just skipping the one step where you have two terms and then you simplify the x's anyway. So I'm skipping that step. Plus x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. But then we have 4 times x is also 4x. So that's 8x. And 4 times 4 is 16. And just to write it here, because I know some people are probably getting confused. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. 5 times x is 5x. And 5 times 5 is 25. So I just skipped this step and went to here because 5x plus 5x is 10x. Okay, so I just skipped this step here and went to this one. Okay. You have to be careful with this negative here, guys, because it's subtract the whole thing. So I left this one inside brackets because it's subtract. The subtraction goes to each of these. So we're going to distribute a negative to all of them. All right, so 2x plus 9. I'm just going to rewrite it all over again. X squared plus 10x plus 25. Now distribute the negative to each of them. If I distribute the negative to each of these, they all become negative. So negative times x squared is negative x squared. Negative 1 times 9x is negative 9x. Negative 1 times 20 is negative 20. And then we're going to add the rest. X squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, we're going to do one last step. So we're going to simplify it now. You don't need to collect like terms and simplify, so this is grade 9 now. So x squared minus x squared crosses off, plus x squared. So we're left with just an x squared. 10x minus 9x is 1x, plus 8x is 9x. So 10 minus 9 is 1, plus 8 is 9. 25 minus 20 is 5. 5 plus 16 is 21. And that is your final answer. So most of them only take 1 or 2 steps. So one step if you don't have to factor out a GCF. If you have to factor out a greatest common factor, it ends up being 2 steps. Okay? But then when you have these brackets, a little bit trickier, and it's very easy to make a mistake. So make sure you go through your steps properly. It isn't difficult math, it's just expanding. So stuff you did in grade 9 and grade 10. Okay? But just make sure as you go through to be careful with your operations. Okay, so we end up coming here, and at this step you won't be able to do anything further. Like I know this is a quadratic, but there aren't any 2 numbers that multiply to 21 and add up to 9. Okay, so that's the end of that one. I don't know if I put the homework at the bottom. Okay, yeah, so homework is there. There aren't too many questions. So 3.7, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. So this is section 3.7, which you guys are responsible to do on Thursday and or Friday. And review. So the review for you guys will start Friday. Actually, sorry. There's a test for the class on Friday. So the ones who are not writing the test, you can start to review it if you want, work over the weekend. And then the Tuesday, when I have cohort A again, we'll be working through the review questions. Okay? Take care.